Call to order for Watertown City Council meeting for July 10th of 2023. Please rise while our good friend, head of the Midwest Bible Camp and chaplain for the Watertown Fire Rescue Department, Hank Rosso, leads us in prayer.
Thank you for joining me. Our Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, we thank you for this time together. God, we know you love our city. It's a great city. It's not perfect, but it's pretty incredible. Pretty darn good. I thank you because of that. It's made up of good citizens and these leaders that are here tonight. God, we thank you for each one here, their sacrifice of time, their wisdom, their gifts and talents, all that they bring here, Lord. We come with a common denominator of we love Watertown. So as we ask your presence here, we pray that you be pleased that all that you experience as you look down upon us. And God, we pray for the family of Kevin Regal and their loss, and we ask that you would minister to them in their hurt. And God, only you can fill such an empty spot of losing someone like that. We thank you for all these things. As we consider the transition of some of the council members, we're so grateful to those who've served in the past and those now who have stepped up with renewed courage and insight and to join this fine group. We thank you for them as well. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay, Bueller. Here. Danforth.
Here.
Pauline.
Here.
Paulson. Shetty.
Here.
Tupper.
Here.
Billhauer.
Here.
Thank you.
Quorum is established. With that, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda. I want to make it clear that this is the motion for the entire agenda. There is no separate consent agenda and regular agenda. This is just the entire agenda at all points. So, motion made by Councilman Bueller, seconded by Councilman Vilhauer.
Hey, Bruce, let me get the last
Is there any... Okay, moved by Councilman Vilhauer, seconded by Councilman Bueller. There's more than one chance tonight. Is there any discussion on this item? Councilman Paulson.
I would like for an amendment to be made for under 9A to be removed from the council. And of note, I will be recusing myself from the vote on this.
Okay, with that said, the motion to amend the agenda is the proper motion because it would be removing an item that the chair did not agree to pull and that the city manager also did not. But with that said, it is an acceptable motion to amend it, to strike 9A off of the agenda. But it does need a second. I will second that motion for you, Councilman. With that said, you have a chance to speak as to why you want to amend, but your comments must be specific to the motion to amend.
Correct. Keep in mind, I am recusing myself from a vote on this as I work for J&J Earthworks. We have requested through the city manager to remove this item because we disagree with it, nor will we sign this final change order because of the disagreement. And our council is currently working on a letter to the city on that behalf.
So the motion would be, from your councilman perspective, it would be you want it pulled because you feel that the topic is not yet resolved. Not from a personal aspect from your employer. It would be from a councilman perspective, you feel it's premature.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on the motion to amend? City Manager Mack.
Thank you, Mayor. And I am going to defer to our Public Works Director to go into a little more detail. It's my understanding that related to this item, there is a question regarding a change order, not the one that's on the agenda. That item can still be resolved outside of this action. we don't need the contractor's signature. We just need to finalize it for our own records. And we, the final CO just won't have their signature, but we can still pay out what is owed by taking this action. And Public Works Director Von Eye can provide more detailed information.
And we'll go to Public Works Director Von Eye right now.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Manager and Councilman Paulson. So, yeah, really, Manager Mack summed it up fairly well and fairly accurately there. I don't have a lot to add to that. We do at times see where at the end of a project there are lingering discussions or disagreement on certain components of a contract. But if we weren't to close it out on our end, that drags out the final payment and the clearing up of everything that we know is locked and loaded and agreed upon. So if the contractor does not sign this final change order, which happens from time to time, that's fine. We can at least still, through council approval, pay out what's owed to date and treat it as a final change order in lieu of any subsequent legal action or contractual recourse that the contractor may have down the road.
Any further comments or questions regarding the motion to amend? Councilman Danforth.
Thank you, Mayor. I will address this to Attorney Carrico. So if we were to pay this, and let's just say there's some type of legal recourse on the backside of this thing that would ultimately not be in our favor, which would require some amount of money to additionally be paid, correct? Would that come back to this council then for a modification to and a request for additional payment to that then?
Correct. So this change order, I have not talked with the city manager and the public works director, so they can interject if needed. But this would be them paying, the city paying what they feel is owed at this time. Then if the contractor, and this is in any circumstance, came forward, like you said, and had additional funds that they felt they are owed, at the end of the day, whatever mechanism, whether it's a settlement or a lawsuit or whatever, then that would come back to this council in order to approve that amount as well.
Okay, Mayor, one follow-up question. Those types of actions they could be lengthy in trying to get to a resolve on something. Is that correct?
That is because, well, I have not read the contract. It could be different things that have to happen first before it could even go to a court, if that's where it ended up. There could be mediation required, there could be arbitration required, and then, or there could be settlement discussions all along the way. So as far as the city is concerned, I guess I would say that, yes, I understand their thing of wanting to pay what they feel is owed. The city also has a duty to mitigate any, and so would the other person, any damage. So to at least pay what we feel is owed at this time would be prudent on our part, because then all we're talking about is the disputed amount, if that makes any sense. Whatever that additional funds is that they feel they are owed.
So is there any downside to us paying this from the city's perspective?
No, not at this time.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments, Council? Councilman Shetty.
Thank you, Mayor. And not to minimize J&J Earthworks' perspective in this at all, because I believe we will work through this correctly, hopefully, and come to an agreement. However, on this motion, I guess looking to the Public Works Director, the City Manager, looking to their insight and how they foresee moving forward, I guess that's where I would suggest staying with how we've got it set, with having it on the agenda, and then, trusting their judgment in that, and then moving forward with whatever happens after the fact.
City Attorney Carrico, did you have something to add?
Yes, I guess I would just reiterate what the mayor said at the beginning too, that this is really about the agenda and keeping the item on the agenda. And by doing that, you're not exactly yet approving that change order. That'll come in further discussion during the meeting.
Correct. Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion to amend? Hearing no further discussion, we have a motion to amend to strike item 9A off of the agenda for tonight. Just remove it completely. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Bueller?
No.
Danforth? No. Paulson is recused. Holleen?
No.
Shetty?
No.
Tupper?
No.
Billhauer?
No.
Motion fails.
Motion fails. We're back to the motion to approve tonight's agenda. Any further discussion on it? Hearing none, those in favor of approving tonight's agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now is the time for open forum. If there's anyone here who would like to discuss something with the council that is not on tonight's agenda, now is your time to do so. Councilman Villauer,
Thank you, Mayor. A point of personal privilege, if I could, please.
personal privilege.
I'd like to have the council and the audience recognize my wife Darla in the audience. This has been a team approach for me the last 8 years, going back to campaigning 8 years ago, to listening to my complaints and frustrations over that time, as well as providing some pretzels here for the council every once in a while. So anyway, my wife Darla.
Mayor?
Councilman Tupper.
I just told Darla a little bit ago, the only way we're letting you go is she's had to promise to bring us pretzels once in a great while, so.
Mrs. Villauer, now is your chance to discuss something in front of the council that you would like that is not on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone else who would like to bring up something to the council that is not on the agenda? Seeing no one come forward, we will close the open forum section. We have already approved the consent agenda, so we can move on to presentations and reports. Presentations and reports are going to be liaison member reports, specific things. Now would be, I think, the time, Councilman Tupper, for you to bring up your order.
I want to talk fireworks on the 4th of July. God, what a day. You know, when Chaplain Rosa was just talking about the incredible community that we live in. God, what an incredible community. You know, the 4th started out with the parade. God, what a great parade. Tons of people there. Then we moved over to Anza Soccer Field for a great evening of fireworks. And there's just so many people to thank in the fireworks. I got to get my glasses on here so I don't forget anybody. We had tons of sponsors: First Interstate Bank, Dutch Boy Car Wash, First Bank and Trust, Hy-Vee, Eastside Equipment, B&G Industries, Glenn and Darla Villauer, Spies Corporation, Plains Commerce Bank, American Bank and Trust, Dakota Land Federal Credit Union, Titan Machinery, Watertown Box, Platinum Realty, Active Heating, Sign Pro, Montgomery's Furniture, Max Steel, Evolution Power Sports, Elite Sewer and Drain Service, McDonald's, Riley's Repair, Stone's Truck Stop, Persona, Glacial Lakes Energy, Craig Properties, McDonald's, maybe I said that twice, McDonald's got 2 of them, I guess, so. Dakota Bank, Watertown Community Foundation, Glacial Lakes Rubber and Plastics, LITC, the Ingalls Family Foundation, Dakota Bodies, McKeever's Vending, Watertown Ford Chrysler, Dakota Tube, J&J Earthworks, Watertown Municipal Utilities, Custom Fab and Engine Shop, and Medco Communications. Without these people, there wouldn't be a fireworks display. And that's the great thing about living in this community. Nobody chased me out the door when I come. Actually, most people that I went to see knew what I was coming for, but $40,000 in fireworks. And what a show. Lou's put on a second to none show. We had approximately 8,000 to 10,000 people at the fireworks display. What a great community event. And we couldn't do it without this community. And the support I had from the mayor and the city manager to go ahead and work on this. Mayor helped me raise some of that money. But one thing behind the scenes is there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and I couldn't have did it without every city department that I reached out to. The street department, police department, fire department, solid waste, park and rec. I know I'm going to miss somebody here, but if I did, I apologize. What great team to work with. Never once complain or they just got right to work and did what they were asked to do, and couldn't do it without them. So I want to give a big, huge thank you, not only to the community, but to this board and the staff at Watertown. They couldn't have did it without them, so thank you very much.
I think it would be appropriate if we all gave a round of applause to them. And thank you, Councilman, for doing that. Any further presentations or reports? Councilman Vilhauer?
I'd like, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to give one last airport board liaison report. We had a meeting today at noon. Public Works Director Von I was there. I think City Engineer Justin Peterson also was online as well. Good news again as far as our boardings in June are very strong. 1,722 I think was the figure, and that's a strong figure, and we're definitely trending in the right direction after some down months there. So that's very encouraging. And heard a very interesting presentation from the new consultants that we approved engaging with here a few months ago. You know, that some very interesting information. I'm looking forward to having us work with them going forward. But something I want to point out that looks bad, but it's also a tremendous opportunity. We're only capturing about 15% of the enplanements for our catchment area. That's a very low percentage. We're still doing very well, which means we've got 85% out there that if we can tap into even a small portion of that, that only bodes well for our airport service or air service here in Watertown. So an interesting board meeting today, and with that, I'll conclude my comments.
Any further presentations or reports? Councilman Bueller?
If I could, this is liaison report for the Park and Recreation Department. Just a few points. Our Stockwell Engineering continues to work with our master plan for our park systems. We did have a grant that we applied for through the state for the Lions Park, and that's I think it's around $45,000. Sounds like we did get that, and that's for the playground equipment that we want to put over there. Also, my understanding is we are intending to, this is kind of for the public, install security cameras for the shooting range, which I think is a really good idea. Also, I've had some questions from constituents regarding fees and reservation opportunities for the downtown park. And it sounds like they'll be working on that, trying to figure out what the fee structure would be and how that people can go about using that new facility. So that'll be good to see coming down the pipe here. But that's about what I have for now.
Any further presentations or reports? Councilman Paulson?
I'm just going to give one on the Animal Control Board liaison report. We've had quite a few hearings on dog bites recently. Not quite a few I should say. But I just wanted to give a shout out to that board. Very difficult decisions are made on that board constantly. And I remind everyone that comes there that that board is in place to protect the public as a whole. And we understand that animals are members of each family as well. But unfortunately, we see other animals either injure or kill other animals, and that's hard to see, but bites against humans as well. And I know there's a couple members that have recently or made their intentions known that they don't want to serve on there any longer, and just wanted to say thank you for their service. It was an honor being a part of that board as well, just seeing what we see and making the decisions that we have to. And obviously we can't talk about a lot of what does come through there, but I just wanted to give the council that whoever ends up sitting on there next, great group of people that sit on there that understand that we're there to protect the public, but also protect family members. And so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further presentations or reports? Going on to contracts and change orders. Item A is an approval of change order number 1 for final for the Highway 212 Sanitary Sewer Project 2119 with J&J Earthworks for a decrease of roughly $99,000. Public Works Director Von I, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is a closeout for the sanitary sewer portion of work that the city completed in conjunction with the DOT's Highway 212 reconstruction project. We had some sanitary sewer main that needed to be replaced and realigned, and so we had a contract that we ran and administered in tandem with the DOT's project, but it's their own separate contract between the city and J&J the contractor. So that work being complete, we've closed out and zeroed out all the quantities, and that's what this final change order is for. There was discussion about a potential change order that the contractor had pursued earlier on near the closeout of the project and the completion of the work. That change order request was denied based on the terms of the contract, and that's why we felt it deemed it appropriate to bring this forward at this point to the council. As mentioned earlier, if any other form of contractual recourse or legal recourse is pursued by the contractor, this action here tonight won't impact that at all. They could still pursue those avenues as they deem appropriate.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the change order. Motion made by Councilman Danforth,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Bueller. Open it up for questions and comments, council. Just to note, Councilman Paulson has recused himself from this. Councilman Tupper, did you have anything? The motion is to approve the change order. All those in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Bueller. Aye. Danforth.
Aye.
Helene.
Aye.
Shetty.
Aye.
Tupper. Aye. Billhauer. Motion carries.
Motion carries. On to item B, an approval of change order number 1 for the 2023 asphalt milling and overlay in large patches with Dunning Incorporated for an increase of roughly $794,000. Public Works Director Von Eye, explain this one for us.
Thank you, Mayor. If you could recall, the council approved an additional $1 million in street work this year through a request that the staff had made approximately maybe a month ago. We've since pursued that additional work through a change order with Dunnick, who has one of the active contracts, a couple of the active contracts for street work here this construction season. So what we're bringing forth is a compilation of additional work that you can see on the agenda packet. In the background information, there's a list of additional streets that we've added to have work performed on them. I can actually share that list. I apologize, I don't have a map here tonight, but I do have a list of those locations. And again, they're on the council agenda packet summary page. The original plan streets are listed here, being 14th Street East, Kemp Avenue, portions of it, 3rd Street, 7th Avenue South, 1st Avenue Northeast, and 8th Avenue South. And then through iterations with the contractor, we've added in a few different intersections that have needed some work because the intersection itself is pretty beat up. Those would include the intersections of 3rd Avenue Northwest and 3rd Street Northwest. That'd be immediately east of the recently completed 3rd Avenue Bridge and roadway work. This will extend that work out into that intersection with 3rd Street and get that all dressed up because it's taking a beating here through the spring. And then we also have 3rd Avenue Northwest, that same route, going further east at Broadway Street. And then we have the intersection of 10th Avenue Northeast and Maple Street Northeast. So those are the three areas where the whole intersection will see new surfacing. We'll also added a stretch along South Lake Drive, and then also on Broadway from 2nd Avenue to 4th Avenue. And 19th Street, this is that road south of Highway 212 as you go back to what's known as the Menards pickup area. That area back in there, we lost a lot of pavement this spring due to alligator cracking and frost heaving. So the total cost for this work is just over $750,000. You might be wondering, well, where's the other $250,000 at? That is pending further discussions with the contractor, wanting to ensure that the work that we want to assign them is able to be done in time for the school season. Namely, that location, of course, being 9th Street Northeast from Arrow Avenue up to 3rd Avenue. We're still in discussions with them about solidifying that work. And then we also have a multitude of other locations, depending on how this discussion falls, that we would bring forth that remaining change order once we get those locations solidified. With that, I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you. City Manager Mack, did you have anything to add?
Thank you, Mayor. I would just reiterate what Public Works Director Von Eye said. We're increasing the amount of work. I get emails and questions just like all of you. I got one today. When are you going to do something about the roads? Well, we are doing things about the roads, and there's active construction happening. I think it's important to point out that this is the mill and overlay budget. We also have large patching projects that will happen and are occurring as well that come out of a separate bucket of money. So this is great work, and we appreciate the council's willingness to increase that budget, and hopefully we can accommodate 9th this year with the contractor's schedule.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the change order.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Villauer, second by Councilman Paulson. Discussion, council. Councilman Tupper.
It's a question for Mr. Bonai. On the corner of Maple and 10th, with 10th just being redone, can you explain that? Is it more south from the intersection or north or both sides? Or?
I know with certainty it's on the north side. That portion is in bad shape for maybe, I don't know, 100 feet there. This contract's actually the large patch and mill and overlay, and so this would be classified probably as a large patch under that work. So yeah, we won't be getting into the concrete at all. Of course, that's all good and well. So and should be for years to come.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Councilman Villauer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm hearing if both our city manager and our public works director, but boy, I realize we won't have a say in the matter when the time comes. But if at all possible, let's get that stretch by the high school done. I've had school district administrative officials reaching out to me, complaining about that for the last couple of years already. So I really implore this body to try to get that area done if at all possible this summer.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Director Von Eyck?
if I could just add some context to the delay or the dilemma that we're up against there is to do it the right way. There's a good amount of concrete work that should be done with that project, and that's kind of the catch-22 we're dealing with, is we can come in and mill and overlay it and just deal with the asphalt and not do any of the concrete. We're having trouble adding the concrete work in due to the sheer lack of concrete labor availability. So we may end up having to not do it as we would prefer to do it, but still get the roadway mill and overlaid. But that's the dilemma we're having, is the lack of concrete labor to perform the concrete work that's necessary there.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the change order. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Officer Bob Zeden, please call the roll.
Bueller. Aye. Danforth.
Aye.
Helene.
Aye.
Paulson. Shetty.
Aye.
Tupper.
Aye.
Billhauer. Motion carries.
Motion carries. We are now on to item 11A, a second reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 16.01 of the use of revenue, sales, service, and use tax of the revised ordinances of the City of Watertown. City Manager Mack, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. We are finally at a second reading of this ordinance. I think we had 3 or 4 first readings. I can't quite remember now. But just a brief overview, what this action does is allows for the purchase of capital equipment to come out of the 212 fund, as well as allows by separate action during the budget process for the council to make a transfer from the 212 fund to the general fund. And I will stand by with any questions.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the ordinance amendment.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Paulson, second by Councilman Tupper. Open it up for discussion, council. Councilman Paulson, did you have anything? Sorry. Councilman Shetty?
Thank you, Mayor. I do appreciate the guardrails that we've put in, at least the one with the supermajority voting to make this potential move someday down the road if need be, from the capital fund to the general fund. Personally, I'm still not going to be voting for it, even though I can see the pros to it, but I still don't see enough pros of it at this time to do that. So just kind of where I'm at with this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilman Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we've had this discussion a couple different times as it's come in front of the council for amendments and stuff, and it just does worry me that I know we do have safeguards in there, but there's potential for misuse And I'm not saying of our current staff or current council. And that does worry me going forward, that essentially this ordinance becomes ungovernable or unenforceable, like other ordinances we have. And that gives me great concern if we're not going to follow ordinances. It just worries me, and I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not necessarily worried about this council or this staff, but it does give me concern going forward in the future still.
Councilman Villauer?
Thank you, Mayor. I support this with reservations. You know, talking to finance officers over the years, talking to other council members, staff, et cetera, I think this is a potential for a slippery slope. By the same token, I do like the flexibility that this does offer our staff and our council when it comes to budgeting relative to our propping up or helping our general fund. I think it is a change that is worth doing, or we should do. I do trust, we always have to operate in a certain level of trust. I do trust that when the time comes, as we look at this, that the staff is giving us good advice, the council is looking at this very prudently, and again, with the supermajority threshold put in there, I do trust that it will operate as function or as it's designed. So again, with reservations in the past, but I do support this as it's now presented.
Councilman Tupper?
I do echo Councilman Villauer's comments there as far as being a little reluctant to support this, but I will support it just for the fact that, you know, it's been a lot of, well, just like we said, we've had 3 or 4 first readings. And with thanks to Councilman Danforth with some of his questions and to get some amendments done to this to put in a little bit more protection, I do have all the confidence in the world of this body. And I know that doesn't cover people down the road, but I think there's been enough guidelines and guardrails put into there that I do feel comfortable going forward with this. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilman Danforth?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to pose this to whomever on the staff level. Should any monies be proposed to be transferred as this ordinance change allows, is that a standalone action within the budget?
Yes.
So there would be, it's right out front exactly what we're doing. It's not embedded anywhere in the budget process.
Right, the ordinance calls for a standalone resolution.
And again, to me, I think that's another very good safeguard that we have. I don't disagree with anybody. I'm always concerned about the latitudes that can take place. But I really do think that we've got some good safeguards in there. And the fact that it's a standalone vote brings it very public. So I support this as well. So thank you.
Is there, Councilman Beeler?
Yes, just a point I'd like to make in regards to where these revenues come from. Maybe some of the folks in the listening public aren't familiar with all the other discussions that we've had, but where this revenue comes from, that goes to, you had mentioned the 212 fund. So perhaps Manager Mack could mention that.
So the 212 fund is supported by the second penny. Is that detailed enough? Sales tax, yes. Okay.
Is there anyone who would like to speak before Councilman Paulson speaks a second time? Councilman Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to voice my opinion that my vote that I will be voting no, because I do think that there's other ways to increase our CIP or our capital improvement fund without necessarily doing this at this point. I do think that there are some lower hanging fruits that could be better suited in other areas, and those funds could be rerouted appropriately, and so I'll be voting no on this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the ordinance amendment. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Bueller. Aye. Danforth.
Aye.
Pauline.
Aye.
Paulson. Shetty.
Nay.
Tupper.
Aye.
Billhauer. Motion carries.
Motion carries. We are now on to item B, a second reading of an ordinance amendment to Rule 7.3 regarding City Council roll call votes. City Attorney Carrico or City Manager Mack, did you want to lead this off? City Attorney Carrico.
Yes, this came from one of the council's work sessions as was discussed during the onboarding process earlier today. We basically adopt Robert's Rules of Order unless we've already stipulated it elsewhere, whether it be the Home Rule Charter or our city ordinances. One of the things that we wanted to change from Robert's Rules is the order. So we have now changed our ordinance regarding city council procedures, and I'm here for any questions. This is our second reading.
Just so the public understands what we're doing is there was some legitimate arguments made that the same people vote first on every single thing. It'd be like sitting alphabetically in grade school. Eventually that gets pretty old. And it also gives different councilmen a different position and a different perspective at times. So the thought was that we would change the order of the roll call vote, but in order to do that, we actually had to change the ordinances of the city of Watertown to not follow Robert's rules. So that's essentially what it's doing, and it's just trying to promote some fairness among the elected officials as well. So, Chair will entertain a motion to approve this ordinance amendment. Motion made by Councilman Bueller, seconded by Councilman Tupper. Open it up for discussion. Councilman Shetty?
I suppose we can't name it the Bueller ordinance?
Used to be the Albert, oh, excuse me, used to be the Albertson.
No, I love being the first guy to vote everywhere.
It could be the Councilman Albertson rule as well, but any further discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the ordinance amendment. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Or, sorry. Finance Officer Bob Zane, please call the roll.
Okay. Bueller. Danforth.
Aye.
Helene.
Aye.
Paulson. Shetty.
Aye.
Tupper. Billhauer. Motion carries.
Motion carries. We are now on to other business and acceptance of a strategic plan for 2022 to 2027. City Manager Mack, this is your baby. Take it away.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. What you have in front of you is the culmination of about a year's worth of work that we all engaged in, the council, the department heads, leadership team, and the community. The action tonight is to simply accept the plan as presented. The work going forward from it still needs to continue. As I mentioned during the onboarding session, we'll need to do annual goal setting around the strategic plan for the public. There were 4 strategic directions that were agreed upon that we would work towards as staff and council, engaging stakeholders, both internal and external, telling our story, communications related, and establishing best practices. So there's a lot of operational work to be done within there. And with that, I will stand by for any questions.
Chair will entertain a motion to accept the strategic plan. Motion made by Councilman Shetty. Seconded by Councilman Tupper. Open it up for discussion. Councilman Tupper?
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to give everybody involved a big round of, or big kudos for everything that's gone into this. I think it's a very great thing that we're doing for the, not only the staff and the council, but for the community, because that's what it's all about. So we can interact and do business better for the community. And I'd like to, like I say, give big kudos for everybody that's been involved in this. So thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilman Villauer, you look deep in thought. No. Chair has a question for City Manager Mack. I just want to be clear on something. For the priority-based budgeting, please explain that a little bit more as to how that does not conflict with long-term strategic budgeting / vision from the council.
Well, that is what it is, right? So priority-based budgeting is a process by which instead of saying, here's the dollars, let's do what we can with the dollars, we say, here are our priorities, let's make the dollars fit our priorities. So it's very in line with strategic thinking and strategic planning. But it's a change in process, and probably will take quite some time to actually evolve into that type of budgeting.
Any further discussion? Motion is to accept the strategic plan. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Officer Babazine, please call the roll.
Bueller. Danforth.
Aye.
Helene.
Aye.
Paulson. Shetty.
Aye.
Tupper. Vilhauer. Motion carries.
Motion carries. We are on to the city manager report. City Manager Mack, do you have anything for us?
Thank you, Mayor. I do not have anything for this body other than to say thank you to Councilman Paulson and Councilman Vilhauer. It has been wonderful to serve with you, and I appreciate your time and efforts to make Watertown just the really great community that it is.
With that said, the chair also has something, and we have something for the outgoing councilman. But along with that, I want to extend my personal thanks for Councilman Vilhauer and Councilman Paulson. It's been an honor to work with you two. I can say without fear of being proven wrong that Watertown is in a better position now than what we were 2 years ago. And that cannot be taken away from your contribution to this. I know that we haven't always agreed, but truthfully, I think a council works better when we don't always agree, and we work towards a vision for the community of the city of Watertown. So it has been an honor to serve with you, to call you my friends, and I know that we haven't heard the last of either of you, I don't think, but with that, we want to at least commemorate the time that you have served with us, and we have a couple plaques for you. So while I get up and go in front for some picture taking, please rise with me and show some commendation for their service. Our first plaque is for Councilman Glenn Vilhauer. Glenn, did you want to say anything about your time on council?
I'm not good at these sorts of things. It's an honor, a privilege to serve the community. I'm going to miss a lot of it. Some parts not so much. But I've said publicly many times that we've lived in Watertown over 40 years, and I feel like right now is one of the most exciting times in that 40-year period that we're experiencing, and look forward to what the future brings. So, I mean, underprivileged, but I'm going to miss it.
And Councilman Paulson? Would you like to say anything about your time on council?
It's been fun.
It's been real, it's been fun.
Yeah. No, I'm obviously truly humbled to even be part of the council. Honored to work with all of you. It was an experience, and you're right, when we don't always agree on everything, but we get to an end goal that we can all agree with at the end of the day. And couldn't be happier to see where Watertown sits right now. There's still work to do, and you haven't heard the last of me, but gonna take a step back and reflect and let you guys all handle your business. So.
They can give you cases in case you want to.
For Kleenex.
It truly has been an honor, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your service and for making Watertown a better place to live. Councilman Tupper?
I know it's truly been my honor to serve with both of you. Glenn I served with in the first time I was on council, and when re-election come up, Glenn was kind of my inspiration to run again. I'd like to thank him for that. Colin, it's truly been my honor to sit next to you for the last 2 years. And both of you made a comment about we don't always agree with things, but once we leave this room, that's where it stays. I mean, we've always been that type of council. We can learn to disagree, but with total respect. So I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, for that.
Councilman Schutte?
Thank you, Mayor. Myself as well, Colin, I just want to thank you, Colin, for Councilman Paulson, for even the small things like asking how my family's doing, and sometimes we had a few things we're working out. We're still working out, you showed concern, as many others on the council, but just being personal too behind the scenes is a big part of this when we're doing this together all around this table here. So I appreciate your concerns there, and Councilman Vilhauer, you as well, mentoring me. Called me up and mentored me in the first the whole last 2 years. I looked up to you and well, not literally, but but then one big question that really helped me get my foot in the door here was when we first met, and I had one real question that I needed to answer to, and I asked him. I says, "Which door do we go in for my first meeting?" I wasn't sure even how to get in this building, and he knew the answer to that too. So that was good. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for both of your service.
And Councilman Vilhauer, you thought of something else you wanted to say?
Being a numbers person, I just sat down today and counted up how many different council members that I served with over the last 8 years. 3 mayors. I think there were 16 different council members, multiple staff, a couple different finance officers, multiple city attorneys, public works directors, city engineers, city manager, something that's new. But I tell you what, in all cases, top-notch individuals that have nothing but the best interests of Watertown at heart.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that? Thank you so much, Council. We have no reason to go into executive session, therefore the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Vilhauer, seconded by Councilman Paulson. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, the motion is to adjourn. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Call to order for a Watertown City Council meeting, the second one of July 10th, 2023. We don't have to do this, but as everyone knows, I prefer to start every one of my meetings with prayer, and I asked Hank Rosso, the chaplain of the Watertown Fire Rescue Department, to come and bless the incoming City Council and our work over the next 2 years. So please rise while Hank gives us a prayer.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's go to God in prayer. Our great and heavenly Father, as we come to you again, we want to say thank you. We're overwhelmed with your goodness and blessings. And as we think of this great city, we think of those who are behind the scenes that helped to make it great. Lord, as we say goodbye to those from the previous council, we welcome so much this new talent, these gentlemen with Councilman Jurens and Councilman Peters. What a joy it is to have new blood, new ideas, and new folks. And God, I thank you that because we share the same love for this community, that there is a sense of unity, that no matter what, that holds us together. We thank you now for this meeting and your love for us. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry about that. All that. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Bueller. Here. Danforth.
Here.
Helene.
Here.
Jurens.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Shetty.
Here.
Tepper.
Here.
Thank you.
Quorum is established. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. And again, I want to stress that this is the entire agenda, consent and regular. So, City Attorney Carrico? Oh. Why is that not on my list? Oh, yes. Sorry. I was going to give him a trial period. All right, thank you for catching that. We do have an order of business. We have 2 new members to swear in. So I would like to do this formally. So City Attorney Carrico, would you please come forward? And as you call each individual councilman forward, we will issue the oath of office.
Okay. So who's first on the agenda? Kyle. I was just going to say that, and then I thought maybe that wouldn't go. If other people are watching, I was like, come on down. It's your time. Okay. Sorry. Okay, in all seriousness, yes, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I,
Kyle Peters,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of councilman for the city of Watertown to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
And you are now. Congratulations.
Councilman Jurens.
And the price is right. No, I'm kidding. I keep forgetting I'm on the air. I think I'm just talking to you guys, so sorry. So, all right. So, I,
Lynn Jurens,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of councilman for the city of Watertown
to
the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Okay, now we can have a quorum. Well, we could have before. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Ready? Bueller.
Here.
Danforth.
Here.
Helene.
Here.
Jurens.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Shetty.
Here.
Tupper.
Here.
Thank you.
Quorum is established. Now the chair will entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by, was it Councilman Tupper? Seconded by Councilman Bueller? Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the agenda. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Now is the time for open forum. If there is anyone here who would like to address the council on something that is not on tonight's agenda, now is your time to do so. I'll close the public forum, go into consent agenda is already approved. We'll go to presentations and reports. We have one item of business on the presentations and reports, and that is an election of the deputy mayor. By the Home Rule Charter, the City of Watertown elects a deputy mayor to address one situation in particular, and that is if the mayor, for some reason, is not present or incapable of running a meeting or issuing some of the powers, not all of the powers. This is not just you step in if you can't bump me off and take over the spot. But if I happen to if I am not here or if I have to step away at a meeting, the deputy mayor takes over, and that is essentially the powers of the deputy mayor. So, all right. So we do have a motion, or we do have that on the agenda. Just to let everyone know, you do need a nomination. You do not need a second. You can nominate yourself. You can even vote for yourself. The person who is deputy mayor, if there's more than 2 people running for deputy mayor, we will strike out the person with the lowest vote total and go to the final 2 until we get one person who clearly wins a majority. And that will be the deputy mayor procedure. With that, the chair will now entertain motions or entertain nominations for deputy mayor. Councilman Peters?
Thanks, Mayor. I received one phone call from a gentleman the day after I won my election, and that was Councilman Tupper, so I would nominate him.
Councilman Tupper is now nominated for deputy mayor. Is there anyone else who would like to nominate someone for deputy mayor?
Mayor, I'd like to nominate Bruce Bueller.
We have a nomination for Bruce Bueller. Are there any other nominations? Chair will close nominations. Ask both Councilman Bueller and Councilman Tupper if you would like to run. I would give you also a chance. I will give you a very short, no more than 1 minute, to address the council. We will actually go alphabetical. Sorry, Councilman Bueller. Actually, no. You know what? The correct motion would be in the order in which the nominations were received. I would believe so.
You just quit pointing your finger down there.
So I will go to Councilman Tupper for a 1 minute addressing of the council.
Well, I don't think it's going to take a whole minute. I mean, I'm very, very honored for one thing to sit on this council as the people of Watertown voted me in. It's truly been an honor. I sit with some of the best ladies and gentlemen in this community, not only on the council but with the staff. And like I say, it's truly humbling to be nominated for this position. And if elected, I'll stand up for the duties that what it represents. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Tupper. Councilman Bueller, your chance to address the council.
Well, thank you. Yes, I also think it's an honor to have that nomination. I will say that I have had 10 years of experience on this city council, and I think 4 or 5 of those I was president of the council, 20 years on the planning commission, and so I think I bring enough skill and experience to do the job. And Randy, you do a great job as well, I'm sure. But no, I'd appreciate your vote if that's the way you feel, and I'll do the best job I can to fill in for the mayor, and I won't bump you off. I promise.
Thank you very much. I see that we have slips here in front of us. Does anyone not have a slip? The process is going to be, you're going to write down your preference for a vote. And that is, if you would like Councilman Tupper to be deputy mayor, you write down Councilman Tupper or Tupper. And if you would prefer Councilman Bueller, you write down Bueller or Councilman Bueller. And then fold it. We'll have Finance Officer Bob Zine collect the ballots. She will count them. Then she will let me know the victor.
Yeah, I've got more slips. Yeah, I got more slips of paper.
It's only one vote. It's only one vote per person. Finance Officer Bob Zine, I'm okay with you just announcing who the winner is.
So the new deputy mayor will be Councilman Tupper.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you for that. Are there any other presentations or reports? We'll go to public hearings and second readings. Item A is an application for a new retail malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license to 1906 LLC. Sorry about that. Doing business as 1906 LLC, 218 East Kemp Avenue. And we'll go to Finance Officer Bob Zine for more information.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Yes, before the council is a new retail. This one has passed the community development. The location has been approved. All fees have been paid. Public notice has been given. So if there's any questions, I can try to answer them. Thank you.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the license. Motion made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Schutte. Discussion on this, council. Motion is to approve the application. All those in favor will please say aye. Aye. We can, I mean, do you oppose? We're just going to, since this is a non-contentious item and there's no negative or no opposition, we'll just go with a straight up voice vote. All those in favor will now please say aye. 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 Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item B is an application for a transfer of a retail malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license and video lottery license from Magic Mile Casino Incorporated to Magic Mile Entertainment LLC. For more information, we'll go to our Finance Officer, Christian Bob Zine.
Thank you, Mayor. If you're okay with it, I would like to cover B and C. Is that okay?
Please do.
Okay, thank you. So yes, this is a transfer of the license. Again, the license has met the requirements with community development. We've also received the fees and the public notice has been given. So everything's in order with both of these items. If there's any questions, I can answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I apologize. I should have held a public hearing on the previous item. That is my bad. I will now open a public hearing on items B and B, but if you want to address the council on item C as well, you can do so. Is there anyone who would like to testify publicly on this? Close the public hearing, open it up for council action. Do I have a motion to approve the transfer? Motion made by Councilman Danforth, seconded by Councilman Tupper. Any discussion on this, council? Hearing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor of the transfer, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item C is an application for a transfer of a retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license and video lottery license from Magic Mile Casino Incorporated to Magic Mile Entertainment LLC. Finance Officer Bob Zine, anything more about this one?
Nothing more to add. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll open up a public hearing on item C. Is there anyone who would like to testify in front of the council? I'll close the public hearing, open it up for council action. Do I have a motion to approve the transfer? Motion made by, was it Councilman Shetty? And we need a second, Councilman Peters. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the transfer. We'll do a voice vote. All those in favor will please say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. We are now on to other business. Is there any other business to bring in front of the council? With city council member announcements and introduction of topics for future discussion. Councilman Danforth?
Thank you, Mayor. How'd you know? This council, the prior council, we've had a lot of discussion with staff, with some with public, in regards to the commercial lake zoning. And my understanding is there is a draft version of that that has been accumulated from our discussion. I personally still have some concerns with that. There may be others that do or don't. I don't know that. But it is my suggestion is that with 2 new council members, especially with a council member from the area that is in question here, I think it would be most appropriate for us to have further discussion on that and bring the new council members up to date on that, and prior to it going to the Plan Commission for approval. My understanding is it's suggested to go to them their first meeting of August, I believe, correct? So I just believe that it would be very appropriate for that to happen.
Mayor,
Thank you.
If I may.
City Manager Mack?
Has it been published for the first meeting in August? Not yet, okay.
Are there any other announcements or topics? Council, we'll go to City Manager report then. City Manager Mack.
All right, thank you, Mayor. The only report I have tonight is a reminder that we'll see you all back here again next week for our regularly scheduled council meeting, and then we'll get back to our normal schedule in August. For the new members, if you are not getting emails or agenda updates, please let me know and we'll work with IT directly to get that taken care of. And I think City Attorney Carrico has something.
City Attorney Carrico.
Yes, and I apologize, just to make things clean, and because it is required under statute, if we could, even though you've already voted, just have the public hearing on item A. And then we're done.
So go
Well,
back.
as long as you say so, Mr. Mayor.
Go back and just call the vote invalid because there was no public hearing? Oh,
I'd be fine with the public hearing, because you could always do a motion to reconsider if somebody came forward with something.
okay. So we'll open up a public hearing on item A. Sorry about that. I will close the public hearing then. Any further announcements? All right. We have no reason to go into executive session. Therefore, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Bueller. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, the motion is to adjourn. All those in favor will now please say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Good night and God bless you, Watertown.